Who is your favorite creator? Is it Kolek? Is it perhaps Sputniks? Is it me?
Oh, brother, this guy's
There are many creators in the GD community that are slept on and highly underrated in the creating scene. Mostly creators who are known for being part of mega collabs or making just one-off solo levels. So I thought of making a list, basically talking about who I think are really underrated creators who deserve more time under the spotlight. Number 12! Let's start off by a relatively not so underground creator. Yoonser Dynamics, or just Yoonser for short, is pretty good at making both design and art. He had a massive glow-up since his earlier creating days and joined a lot of collabs, some of which include Heliopolis, Crumbs, Titano Machina, Duplication, and Yoonser also made a really cool art entry for the Discord Gauntlet, which unfortunately wasn't finished due to a save loss. And to wrap it up, recently he just released a gigantic quiz-themed level for the 10th anniversary, so make sure to check it out. Number 11! One interesting thing about Whippy37 is his ability to merge effect and design seamlessly. Even though he's not the first person to do that, I do enjoy seeing a creator once in a while emerging with an ability like that. His style kind of reminds me of Fair Funky's older stuff, and was even kind enough to have a part in orbit, so that's cool. Number 10. I really need to stop the number thing. This is not even a ranked list. I don't know why I'm doing that. Here we have a creator that is very rare to find these days. Magpipe is really good at merging both art and design at the same time in a way that appears natural in a weird way. It's more apparent in his part in Heliopolis, where he managed to use GD objects that are rarely used nowadays to make structures that look natural and realistic with a very low object count. Though I don't think he's the first person to ever do that, but he definitely took the idea and improved upon it tenfold. Funny story, recently he was part of a art competition hosted by Waboo, which I was a judge on, and he made the silliest McDonald's themed entry, to which I just had to give it an 8 out of 10. Speaking of even more art creators, we are gonna talk about a relatively low-key and now sort of inactive creator named Destries. Many people probably have never heard of Destries before because he typically works from the shadows, and I have not seen one instance of him just publicly posting about his creations. But what did Destries make? He was the original designer for the collab level Gore, even though he made just a few assets for it, which we used to expand upon it along with Maddie and Magpipe. Those assets were essentially the building block to what collab level is nowadays. And even though he rarely creates, when he does, he makes some really insane shit, like this eye that's just under 100 objects. Let's take a bit of a break with art now and visit a modern style creator named RMBW. Even though modern creators are really abundant nowadays, RMBW stands out due to their wacky takes on limitations. Like this level, for example, called Jogging in Place, where it doesn't use triggers or groups at all, and it somehow manages to look like this. I also like their attention to detail in Hall of Mirrors, where every single reflection is taken into account. And I find that really cool that people actually care about the little details that not everyone would notice. So go check RMBW out. Gloryex is an art/effect creator who specializes in making extremely intricate and hyper-detailed stuff in the game. Even though he doesn't create as much, his most recent solo, called Pix, is a horror-themed level based around Pixar. It's really weird and I love it in a way that I cannot fully describe in this video, but you guys should definitely play it, so here's the ID on the screen right now. Because Glory is definitely one of the most underrated art creators I've ever seen in my life. I am throwing down the gauntlet here right now. Maddie 2003 is one of the weirdest creators I've ever met in my life. Basically, he's the backbone of my collabs. he is responsible for merging and optimizing literally everything I do. It is insane how productive and efficient this guy is. He's even editing this video right now. Just go subscribe to Maddie. He's an art creator, a design creator, an effect creator, and I don't even know. He even makes music. Like what? While also being one of Maddie's best friends, Viper Arcturus is also one of the best creators that I've ever seen. He made a lot of stuff that sadly did not see the light of day because of his productivity issues, but the things that he makes in the editor are amazing. Especially one funny level of his called I Wanna Be the Cheat, where he managed to basically remake an entire Needle game in GD. And he's also a really fast creator in general, so go check him out and give him some support. I don't know what the fuck Yori is doing. He should be just making games at this point, just leaving the community because of how good he is. Yori is one of the most insane minigame creators in the game. He has made a lot of levels that just require insane amounts of skill and technical ability to make, that most of which just go unnoticed. It's very rare for me to just be genuinely impressed by something because of how long I've been at this community, but Yori manages to impress me every single time with his work. I really love his polished aesthetic when making games. Nothing looks messy. That's why I really compare him to a game designer, because that's just the vibe that he gives off, that he just makes other games, which I find really interesting, so go check him out and see what he's cooking. Typhoon Thunder. One thing I really love about Zeppelin's work is her nonchalant approach to creating. She doesn't really care about being a perfectionist or making everything look as hyper-detailed and polished as possible, but more so the general vibe of the art that she makes in the game. Sort of reminds me of LM Anubis' style back in 2.0, where the main focus around it was that art should look convincing, but at the same time not as complicated and remaining relatively easy to make. That's why she makes a lot of solos and doesn't really have a hard time continuing most of her projects. I believe this style of creating is surprisingly rare nowadays, so go check her stuff out. This is probably the most odd addition that I'm gonna make in this video. I even thought about not including him at first, but Grixon is a really important creator who you probably never heard of before. But why include him? Well, he is the guy that is responsible for mentoring and teaching a lot of creators nowadays, especially very good creators nowadays, and one of them is Kolok. So he at least deserves a mention here. He would teach up-and-coming GD creators about the basics of art making in general. And even though he hasn't really released anything, there is something in the works that he may be releasing very soon, so keep on the lookout for that. And finally, the creator that I'm gonna include in my most underrated creators video is none other than Jooxie. You might have seen him in the showcase for Every End, being the creator of the background effect, which was really hard to make, contrary to popular belief. Despite being one of my best friends and teaching me a lot about the editor, his knowledge remains on top of everyone I know. And to give an insight about how good Jooxie is, he took part of Viprin's mini creator contest in his server about 2 years ago, and he went up against Spotnix, who is considered the best creator in the game by many, and he won. Though it is entirely subjective who gets to win which prize, I still find it really admirable that he managed to go up against Sputnik's work and winning with a very low margin of voting. He made a triple spike, a clubstep monster, and a logo. And the funny thing about this clubstep monster, there does not exist footage of this clubstep monster running at its full glory. Even on Nexus's channel and Partition's channel, the clubstep monster sort of breaks because he hand animated it so that it plays at 40 frames per second, which is just not possible in the game's engine. And that's why there is literally no clip of it online. This involved a lot of hacks to try and make it work. But not to make this video any longer, Jooxie definitely deserves the shout out that he needs. And he is the most inspiring creator to me because it just shows that effort and handmade work can sometimes defeat the undefeatable. He's just fucking rockly. So yeah, if you like this video and you want to see me talk about more creators, leave some suggestions in the comments and I will see you, I don't fucking know.